So for context, me and my boyfriend have been going out for around 3 months now. He has talked about how he used to have night terrors, and lately, they've been especially bad. Once I started staying over at his house, I got to witness it firsthand. We'd be dead asleep, and he would suddenly sit up, gasp, and stare off into the distance for a while before laying back down and going back to sleep. I asked him what he was dreaming about once, and he said he didn't know. I started getting poor sleep at his apartment too. I did from the start, but I just chalked it up to being in a new, strange environment, but it persisted. One morning, he left for work, and I went back to sleep after saying goodbye. I woke up on my stomach, unable to move. I realized it was sleep paralysis. I've had it a couple of times before, years ago, so I knew what I was dealing with and tried not to panic. That's when I felt something crawl onto the bed and place a hand on my back, holding me down. I've had a sleep paralysis demon experience in the past, so I tried to remain calm. I started repeating "not real" over and over in my head since I couldn't speak. The thing responded, "Oh, you think I'm not real? If I wasn't real, would you be able to feel my hand on your back?" It said this while digging its fingers in. "Would you be able to feel my breath on your neck?" It felt so real. I could feel it lean down and breathe cold air on my neck as it spoke. I repeated, "Get out, you're not welcome." And slowly I began to move again, and the thing was gone. I didn't think too much of it since sleep paralysis is somewhat normal, and a lot of people experience the so-called demons. But last night was different. I was asleep and woke up with the overwhelming feeling of being watched. I opened my eyes and lifted my head to look around the room. There was a tall shadow moving across the room, right at the edge of the bed. I looked over at my boyfriend's spot to confirm it was just him getting up to use the bathroom or something, and was horrified to find him sleeping peacefully next to me. I looked back at the shadow. It had reached the spot directly in front of me at the end of the bed. It turned toward me and was staring, unblinking, with a huge grin. It had this strange aura around it. It's hard to describe, but everything looked a little warped around it. I felt an intense amount of malice coming from it. I was terrified. I sat up, and after a moment longer, it dissipated into the air like it had never been there. I don't know what this thing is or why it's bothering us. I've never experienced anything like this before, other than when I was a little kid and thought I saw shadows move or other kid stuff like that. But this thing had a face. For months, I've had what I thought was sleep paralysis. I'd wake up, totally conscious, but I couldn't move a muscle. It would last for a few minutes, and I'd just lie there, staring at the ceiling, trying to breathe through the panic until my body finally started working again. It happened maybe once or twice a month, always the same way. I never saw anything weird, no shadow people or hallucinations, just the total inability to move. My doctor said it was normal, just stress, bad sleep schedule, nothing to worry about. So I just dealt with it. A few weeks ago, I woke up again in the middle of one of these episodes. I couldn't turn my head, but I could see movement in my peripheral vision. Someone was standing next to my bed. Is this the sleep paralysis demon everyone talks about? I could feel the mattress shift as he leaned down. I wanted to scream, but my throat wouldn't work. Then he did something that I knew wasn't a demon hallucination. He reached out and brushed my hair back, slow and gentle. I must have blacked out because when I woke up, I could move again, and I was alone. The room was exactly how I'd left it, nothing missing, no signs of forced entry. I kept telling myself it was a really messed up dream, but I couldn't shake it. So, I set up my phone to record while I slept, just to prove to myself that nothing was happening. The next morning, I had 3 hours of footage of me sleeping. Normal. Then, right around 3:15 a.m., the screen lit up with movement. The door to my room opened. A man stepped inside. He walked up to my bed, stood over me for a long time, then pulled something from his pocket. He leaned down, did something near my face, then just stood there, watching me. I stopped the video. I was shaking so bad I almost dropped my phone. My brain was trying to find some kind of explanation that didn't mean what I knew it meant. I called the cops. They found a small puncture wound behind my ear. A toxicology report found traces of a paralytic agent in my system. The lock on my apartment door wasn't broken. There were no signs of forced entry. The police think he had a key. How long had he been doing this? Every time I thought I was waking up with sleep paralysis, it was actually him. He was in my room, watching me, touching me. They haven't caught him yet. I have been suffering from sleep paralysis probably since I was 8 or 9 years old. I am in my early 20s now. When I endure a sleep paralysis episode, I have the usual symptoms of not being able to move or say anything. Of course, I would see the hat man or the silhouette of a man. Those were my typical sleep paralysis episodes. Well, a week ago, I had a sleep paralysis episode that I have never experienced before. I was stressed and not getting enough sleep prior to this episode. I went to sleep at about 2 a.m., and for a brief moment, I woke up at 6 a.m. to fall back asleep until 9 a.m. When I woke up, I was laying on my back. I didn't notice that I was in sleep paralysis. I heard something that sounded like running, not just one person but multiple people, running up and down the hallway and whispering. I honestly didn't think anything of it, because I was half asleep. I just thought that maybe my brain was messing with me. I tried to move my head to look at the door that is parallel with the cork board hanging up on the wall. I couldn't move my head, so I started to panic. The only thing I could do was move my eyes. I grazed my eyes over to the cork board, and all I could see was this scraggly shadow of a man coming from behind it, as if the shadow man was living within the walls of my house. I couldn't look away at this point. My mind had me in a threatening situation with my body not being able to move. I am still hearing the running and the whispers, and they turned into sinister laughs. A family member was home. They had no idea of the 3-minute hell that I was going through that felt like a lifetime. I couldn't yell, not even the quietest whisper. The shadow man was thin with long fingers and a wide, petrifying smile with big eyes as if he wanted me to see what he saw. He stared at me, and the longer I looked, my eyes got heavier. When my eyes started to close, he moved closer. I tried to fight it every little bit. I opened my eyes. He was closer, and the running and laughter was louder. The closer he got, my eyes got heavier, to the point they finally closed. Moments later, I was able to move like it never happened. I walked to the door and checked behind the cork board. I walked down the hallway where the running happened. It was quiet. The only thing I could hear was the fan in the living room and the occasional chirp of birds outside. That short amount of hell just to walk into peace. The mind and body play tricks on you, or is it something supernatural in a failed attempt to take over? I don't know, but I don't want to encounter anything so unsettling like that again.